our firm works with businesses on ways that they can realize the business value of integrating sustainability both inside and out. What I'm going to talk to you about today is how organizations successfully implement sustainability, but most importantly, how they can make it stick and last for the long term. Now, whether a company is just getting started, has been doing it for a number of years, or really wants to take sustainability to that next level, the key comes back to really mastering the fundamentals. And so my talk today is going to be all about the 6 fundamentals towards implementing business sustainability. It's just like anything in life. Whether you're an athlete and you aspire to be a pro or a college All-American, you can never get to that higher echelon unless you first nailed and mastered those fundamentals. And so that's what my talk is about today. And that is, you need to be able to make the business case for sustainability. You have to define it for your organization. You need to engage your stakeholders. You need to baseline and measure what matters. You need to set your North Star and your goals so you know where you're going, and you need to gain management support. Now, the business case, it all comes back to the business case. Now, this may seem like a no-brainer, but for so many organizations, they fail to explain it to their employees about why we are doing this and how they can actually make more money, enhance their brand value, reduce risk, maybe attract better talent and customers by making the business case for sustainability. Too often, organizations have really focused on that left side over there where the CFOs and legal reside. They've been trying to do less bad. They've been trying to avoid risk. They've been trying to stay in compliance. The reality is with business sustainability is it's actually really exciting. There's amazing opportunity out there to save money, to generate new revenue, to enhance your brand value, to differentiate yourself from the competition, to gain a competitive advantage. And so oftentimes, if you don't have that mindset and you haven't figured out, okay, we're trying to integrate sustainability into the way that we do business so that we can do more business and do it in a better way to lower our social environmental footprint, people won't understand. And so what I tell organizations all the time is if you're not making money from sustainability, you're not doing it right. Now, defining sustainability, this might seem like a no-brainer, but the reality is if I were to ask any one of you, what is your definition of sustainability? I'm likely to get 8 different answers. Too often, organizations put a theoretical or a global definition of sustainability, and that doesn't really mean anything to people. You need to define sustainability for what it means to your organization and what it means to your people, for people to really understand it. And you've got to find a way you can make it real for them. So as you see on this slide right here, there's a lot of different definitions that are floating out there. And when I was just recently working with a large Fortune 500 company that had 8 executives in there, when I asked them how they define sustainability, I got 10 different answers. So the reality is you need to be able to have one definition that makes sense for an organization, and then you need to be able to translate it down to the different departments, divisions, and business units so that they understand how sustainability matters to what they do on a day-to-day basis. Now, just like an organization or a business doesn't provide a single product to solve all the world's problems, when you're addressing or implementing sustainability, you're not trying to solve all the global social environmental issues that are out there in the world. You need to find out what is most material to our organization and what do our stakeholders care about. Now, traditional business is taught about worrying about shareholders. Well, we take a different approach. You need to look at all of your stakeholders. You need to look at what your employees, your customers, your suppliers, your vendors, yes, your investors, your community partners, and some of your other secondary stakeholders. What do they care about, and what does sustainability mean to them? What are the social environmental issues that they care about, and what's most material to your organization? Too often, especially around times like now, we're right about Earth Day, a lot of organizations are scrambling to do something for Earth Day, something that's going to be green. And they just want to get something fast and out there to show their customers and their employees that they care about it. Or they take random acts of greenness and they might do a carbon footprint or a CSR report, or they might do something, a tree planting for Earth Day. The reality is, these random acts of greenness don't help it last within a company. And many organizations rush forward and they take a ready, fire, aim approach, meaning that they rush to get something done. And they can go fast if they go alone, but they can only go far if they go together, and they need to bring their stakeholders along with them. Peter Drucker has been saying that you need to measure what matters. If you want to know where you're going in life, or let's use an old sailing metaphor. You can't understand where you're going and how to get there until you first know where you are. So you have to absolutely do a baseline of your sustainability performance before you get going. Now, one of the things that I talk about in my book and that my company really uses with a lot of different organizations, we call this the Hagen-Wilhelm matrix that Kevin Hagen and myself and my team pulled together. Organizations, when they're trying to assess where they are, they have to take a hard look and say, which phase are we in within an organization? Because most companies want to move to that phase 5. They want to have sustainability totally integrated in what they're doing. They want to see revenue growth. They want to see environmental benefits and social benefits going up and their negatives going down. Well, the reality is when you're implementing any type of change, no matter what it is with an organization, things do not happen linearly. Things can be messy at sometimes. Not every part of an organization steps in lockstep. Some facilities will be ahead of others. And so using the Hagen-Wilhelm matrix to baseline and determine where you are as an organization will help you understand, hey, if we're in this phase, these are the things that we need to have in place or need to be thinking about for the next phase. Because each phase will have different people involved. There's a different type of change that's involved. There's dominant characteristics that happen throughout an organization, and there's different financial drivers. To give you an example, how many of you have worked with an organization that's tried to do anything green around Earth Day? Just raise your hand right now. Okay, quite a few of you. Now the reality is when you're getting started, there's a certain charisma that maybe one person or a green team has that they're using to drive people along. And that is really important in the first couple phases. But as you get to a more mature company, you can't rely on the individual heroism of one person or a green team. It has to actually get to the really boring stuff. It has to get to processes and systems and metrics and evaluations. And the reason why it has to move along there as you mature is because if you're totally reliant on one thing in one phase, it can become a derailer in that second phase because an organization eventually, that hero might move on. They might leave the company, and then your whole program has to start over again. So that's one reason that we say you have to baseline where you are, because it's just like if you're going on a diet. Before you decide you're going to lose a whole bunch of weight, first step on the scale. Now, again, it seems like common sense, but you need to set your vision and goals as to where you're going. Everyone within the organization needs to know, what is our North Star? What are you shooting for? Are you trying to be a leader in sustainability? Are you trying to, really have an aspirational goal out there? Or are you just trying to do a little bit better than your company? Is it a stretch goal, or are you just trying to go 10 yards? Too often, companies will, their green team or their sustainability manager, maybe a green team on a college campus, they'll go about their sides and they'll set up their sustainability goals. And then lo and behold, the board or the executive team sets up the corporate goals and they're not aligned. The only way you can make sustainability successfully, stick within an organization is the goals have to be aligned. And the reality is that 99% of your sustainability goals will support your corporate goals that are taking place. You just have to make sure they're aligned. You set that North Star, you figure out how you're going to backcast to get there. But then you need to also take that next step and bring it down to the department and individual level so people understand what it is that they're going to do on a day-to-day basis that's going to actually help reach those corporate goals. And lastly, like with anything, any change action you want to make within an organization, you have to assign responsibility and accountability to make it happen. So lastly, the sixth step, the sixth fundamental that you need to have is management support. Now, oftentimes, organizations that want to get involved with sustainability, they'll put out some corporate press release, or they'll, the CEO will stand up and say, we're in charge of this, we're gonna take a lead in environmental responsibility, and then they step away and they go back to business as usual. This is the hardest part with an organization, whether you're a college campus, a nonprofit, or a company. You need to make sure that your leadership walks the talk. They have to have true management support. They have to be seen. They have to be heard. They need to be. You need to feel the leadership support, and that means that they can't just put their blessing to it. They have to actually provide budget. They have to actually show up. They have to provide time and resources. Oftentimes, within an organization, many of you are working 2 or 3 jobs simultaneously. You don't have time to do anything else. So they have to find a way to actually free you up like any other priority to make it happen. And management also needs to provide that air cover, because once out of every maybe 10 times, something that you're trying might not work. And if you want to be innovative, creative, if you want to come up with new solutions that are green, they're going to save money, they're going to be better for the planet, most of the time they're going to work, but occasionally they're not, and management needs to provide that support. So as we're looking at what are the keys to implementing sustainability, you can't do everything that you want to. You have to prioritize and figure out what are the low-hanging fruit and what's going to give you the most bang for the buck. You need to understand how your organization does change. You have to look at other successes that you've had. So if you've incorporated diversity within your company, were you successfully able to do that? Or if you wanted to stamp out something bad like sexual harassment, how did that happen? Some organizations, they have a top-down structure. Others, it's a bottom-up. Sometimes it's a collaborative way. You have to work within whatever works within your company and implement sustainability that same way. Follow the successes that already worked. You need to engage your employees. You need to come up with policies, systems, and decision-making procedures that work. And you need to align your sustainability efforts with your philanthropy, your communications, your marketing, and sales efforts. Now that is a quick overview of the 6 fundamentals towards implementing sustainability, but one of the most key things is you got to make sure you have fun. And as I'm looking across this audience and everyone that I'm talking to today, what could be more fun than trying to go within an organization and trying to solve the greatest societal and environmental issues facing the planet and our generation, but you can do it in a way that you can actually increase revenue, enhance brand value, reduce risk, lower costs, attract talent, retain customers, and you can do all that by implementing sustainability. But you're only going to be successful and you're going to make it last for the long term and stick if you first master those fundamentals that I talked about today. Thank you, you guys have been a great audience.